Hi everyone out in the void, I'm Zach, this is the Shaken Fist, and it's Wednesday, so I guess I gotta bring a video out. Because I didn't do it last week because I was ill. And that's fun. So, this week, I decided that I keep on meaning to do this video. I did it ages ago on Let's Laugh at Theists. And I think I might have even done it so long ago, it wasn't even called Let's Laugh at Theists yet. So, it's Trent Horne talking about the one question that atheists can't answer, and it's not what you would expect. That's why I chose the video. It's usually why it gets chosen anyway. So like, subscribe, do the commenting, all the things. In the description there should be I think I've set up a Discord, and I'll see how that goes. Because I'm bad at all the YouTube and social media things. I just like criticizing theists. What can I say? Time for a little bit of news. So next year, starting in January, I'm going to stream twice a week, most weeks. I haven't picked a fourth because a fourth thing, so it might only be 3 weeks of the 4 of the month, and if there's a fifth, well then I get 2 weeks off. I haven't decided on a fourth show yet, but so far I have. I might try and get people on to talk. I don't know. I have bottom of the barrel. That'll be the first week of the month. Second week of the month will be Religion Unraveled. Third week of the month, I'm going to start reading. I found a textbook from one Ray Comfort and one what's his fucking name? Fucking Johnny Kirk Cameron, right? And they did a textbook together, so I'm going to read through that, and we're going to make fun of that as we go. And then when that finishes, it'll be another thing. And I haven't just picked a name for any of them yet. So if you or anyone you think might be good on any of those shows, then let me know, and I'd love to have guests on, and that's cool. Because fuck, the more people making fun of stupid shit like that, the better, right? But yeah, so that'll start in the new year. Join the Discord because and my birthday is in less than a month, and around that time, watching Christian movies on Discord. I have decided on some cartoons and children's shows. Just a light sampling of some. I've got to get them all yet. But so there's going to be like Bible Bees. I might do VeggieTales. I haven't decided yet, or at least a little bit of VeggieTales. There's this Cold with the Computer. Salty was quite funny. Um, you know, and I might choose something else. If you have any ideas or want to join in, join the Discord. Links in the description. And if you have any ideas of stuff like that, or any ideas if you have any pseudoscience memes you want to add to bottom of the barrel, you send them over there on Discord. If you have any videos you want me to make fun of, or content creators / Christian apologists you want me to make fun of for either pseudoscience reasons or theistic reasons, well then let me know in the Discord. And or if you prefer the fourth show a month, also be reading through Discworld together in a book form type club. I'm totally open to doing that, and I might do it anyway. So fuck it, yes, I'm going to do it anyway. That would be the fourth thing. The fourth thing a week would be a once a month Discworld club, because they're not stupidly long books. 41 gives me a couple of years of content plus added extra books. So that'll be fun. So on with the show. Oh, this introduction so long. Crap. So much news, so little time.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Council of Trent podcast. I'm your host, Catholic Answers apologist and speaker, Trent Horne. And today I want to talk about atheism, or a part of atheism that I think has a fundamental flaw.
Aren't you excited? I'm excited. Aren't you always excited to find out what Christian thinks they've poked a hole in what today? Because argumentation and logical fallacies abound are definitely going to prove the existence of an untangible creator on the outside of the universe that you can in no way prove. But, hey, I know we found a bunch of stuff, and we can prove that your religion has come from a bunch of dubious roots through rewritings, scribal errors, and just nicking from the Mesopotamians, Egyptians, and all sorts. But hey, yours is the right one, correct? I guess I'm getting into it too early. It's only the start of the video. And I'm already angry. I suppose that's good, right? Because, you're all supposed to be full of the invective on the YouTubes.
But to understand why, I need to talk about something else called the God of the Gaps objection.
God of the Gaps.
So basically, it goes like this. God of the Gaps objection claims that arguments for the existence of God, they all fail because they all essentially say the same thing. Here's something we can't explain, or here is a gap in our knowledge. God explains the gap in our knowledge, therefore God exists.
It's not saying that all your arguments fail because of the God of the Gaps. It's just really funny how evolution wasn't real.
I don't understand evolution, and I have to protect my kids from understanding it. We will not give in to the thinkers.
And then we proved it. It was really funny how, oxygen wasn't real, and then we proved it. It was really funny how electrons and atoms weren't real until we proved it, and the size of the universe until we proved it. It's funny how the problem, I think, is more the fact that every time humanity goes, hey, we figured out something, religious cunts like this go, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. That isn't real. Science found it, so it's not real. It's not good. And then years later, right, when it's been proven beyond a fucking shadow of a doubt, they come back and they go, well, I guess it's just further proof of God's glory, isn't it? That we figured out this, and gravity, and electrons, and the quarks, and all the things that, religious people don't like when we find them. Once they become established fact, and it's like a generation or two later, these fucks come out of the woodwork going, aren't we so fucking good for believing this stupid bullshit? Look, we've accepted what the scientists have said about this, but it further proves us.
If your elitist East Coast evolution is real, why has no one found the missing link between modern humans and ancient apes?
We did find it. It's called Homo erectus.
Then you have proven my case, sir. But where, then, is the missing link between apes and this Darwinius Macilli? Answer me that, Professor.
Oh, okay, granted that one missing link is still missing. But just because we haven't found it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Pshaw! Things don't exist simply because you believe in them. Thus saith the almighty creature in the sky!
So when you're arguing with these fucking cretins, right, you then say, hey, here's our proof. They go, it proves God. Or you don't know something and they go, you don't know it. You don't understand it. And when you say you don't understand it, they go, well, then God's right. God's true, right? Because you have a gap in your knowledge. So, part of the reason it's called the God of the Gaps is because every time you argue with you fuckers, you guys decided anytime we don't know something, well, that's just the gap, isn't it? That's just the gap in your knowledge that proves that we're correct, you see? Because you don't know everything yet. It's like I said to that Artangelo bastard.
Well, the thing is that abiogenesis hasn't ever been corroborated to be true.
And they haven't cured cancer yet either. They haven't cured cancer yet either. Tomorrow they could.
I didn't realize. Did we have a deadline for answers? It's almost like we figure out things in a successive manner of things because we find out other things, and the more things we find, it's a cascade effect. We figure out more and more things because we can make bolder and bolder predictions because of the things that we found. And these fuckers only agree with them when we prove them beyond doubt, and otherwise it's, well, no, God did it. Because your basis in religion starts with people not understanding the basics of life, physics, everything. Because we used to run around in fields and lagoons, in Africa, and we didn't even know what stars were, or like what rocks were made of, or trees, or any of this shit, right? We didn't have a fucking language. So we had to start, and we had this innate sense, because we're like hunted prey, that something would be looking over us. So when we start being able to fight back and becoming a top predator instead of prey, well then that inbuilt evolutionary feeling of something's looking over our backs doesn't go away, right? So then when you look at polytheism, it's almost like polytheism is actually trying to explain how the world works, because there's a different eminent vital force, it's a Discworld term, for everything. It's the god of the sea, it's the god of fresh water, it's the god of fertility, it's the god of this land, it's the god of this hill, it's the god of this family, right? There's always these vital eminent forces that make things happen in those particular fields. And then monotheism comes along, Antenism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and they decide that actually it's not about describing how the world works, it's about control. yes, we'll take some little bits of this is how the world might work, but how the world works doesn't really matter to these fucks, right? How the world is made and all that is all rather nebulous, and because it's nebulous, they go, well, you don't know the exact things of the Big Bang or what happened at the exact moment of the start of the universe, if there was a start of the universe. So you don't know, therefore God, right? And trying to make a 20-minute video pretending like you can talk your way around it's going to be an immense lot of fun to get through, isn't it?
Yes. In other words, you can't argue in this way. I don't know what caused X, therefore God exists. That's a bad argument.
Yes, it is. Because it's an argument of omission. Because, what? It's like the fine-tuning argument, well, you don't know why the universe works in the way it does, and if it worked even 1% differently, it'd be different, right? So it must be God. It's the cosmological argument, well, everything has a creator, and you don't know what created the universe, so the only thing that could create the universe is a creator God, right? And then, you got the ontological argument where, what's the most powerful thing I can think of? So it basically just leaves a hole for you to think of something more powerful. Well, I thought of a God that created Yahweh, therefore Yahweh exists. Every one of these Christian arguments just invites you to go, hey, you don't know the full answer to these, and God is a really nice placeholder to put over the top of it to simply answer stuff, isn't it? Because, like I always say, it's simple, easy, intuitive answers for hard, non-intuitive questions, and that's the whole premise of the God of the Gap. And these people rely on it so much, and that's why they get the little panties in a twist whenever people use it against them, because it's their bread and fucking butter, and they don't like being called out on the dishonest tactics they use in their argumentation. So they make shitty little videos like this, where they pretend that actually they're the real victim, and the other people are the ones that have the gaps. Oops, did I spoil it already? So they can shift the burden off them. It's like that JCO guy I was talking to last week. He has this whole video series about how atheists have the burden of proof. And if anyone went and watched that, you should go watch that now. If you haven't, you'll see me repeatedly go, "Where's your evidence? Where's your evidence? Here's my evidence." Well, that's your this is your interpretation. I have a different interpretation. I don't need to tell you. These people. The whole argument process relies on them not actually having any proof or real statistics to go by. That's why you can watch shitty inspiring sophistry videos where he goes, look at this graph. Every time I do it makes me graph. This graph says that all the men died in a genetic bottleneck. Forget that the women outnumber the men and there was no genetic bottleneck in females. It shows that the flood happened. Because they're relying on you and your gaps in the knowledge for them to put their God in there and go, do you see it there? The Holy One and Only God in all of its reverent glory! You know what I mean?
Now, the unexplained thing, it might be morality or the beginning of the universe or the existence of something rather than nothing. Whatever it is, atheists say we don't want to rush to a supernatural explanation because we might miss an undiscovered or unknown natural explanation.
Yeah, because it's happened every time. It's weird. It's weird how we went, hey, God made lightning, and then we went, actually, it's almost like the rubbing of particles together creates a static charge in the clouds, and that cloud eventually earths itself through a series of lightning strikes. And I don't just mean, you see them through the entirety of a storm. I mean, actually, like, the lightning goes up from the ground first to make a connection, and then... Do you see what it means? That's the thunder, of course. But, you see, the thing is, so my point being, so when religion is in control, it goes, well, God did everything for us specifically, so everything here should be for us specifically. And then we should we shall come up with something like the doctrine of the signatures, right? Because the doctrine of the signatures says that, well, it's called eye blight, right? Or eye bright or whatever, so it's for your eyes. You see this broken heart flower? Well, that would be for your heart. Because look at it, it's shaped like a heart, isn't it? Like, is it tooth wort or something like that? When you cut the grass apart, it looks like it's got a little tooth in the heart of the plant where the xylem and phloem and all that stuff is. Like, and they go, look, it's for teeth. Right? That was the doctrine of the signatures, because God was leaving us clues at the efficacy of what they were for. And then science came along and went, no, those aren't real. That isn't how that works, right? Because we came up with the scientific process, and they don't like that. It was made by Christians. I know it's debunked loads of your claims, but it was made by a Christian, so it's still cool, right? It's a weird line to draw. Anyway, but my point is that every time that a religion has made a claim about how the world is run and how it was made and what it is, science kind of finds out the otherwise by testing it extensively. So, yes, if you can point to an actual time where science has not done that, and I will start to think maybe we should give it some fucking time. But considering you can't, because the best you got is, well, we tested the blood of Jesus on the Shroud of Turin using science, and it's definitely Jesus's blood. We looked at the cloth, and it's definitely fraying as if it was kept pristinely in a pristine state for 2,000 years, even though we know that's not the case. But hey, science said it because, some people were trying to justify their own ideas. And it's always fun how these people can, slice up science into the bits they like because it proves them right, and the bits they don't like because it proves them wrong, and pretend that one side kind of doesn't exist and is kind of inconvenient, or it's part of God's mysterious plan because he works in mysterious ways, and we just don't fully understand everything yet, so it's still God because we don't understand everything yet. God of the gaps.
And actually, a lot of Christians feel the same way.
I mean, come on.
The Lutheran pastor and Holocaust victim Dietrich Bonhoeffer once wrote this. He wrote, "How wrong it is to use God as a stopgap for the incompleteness of our knowledge. If in fact the frontiers of knowledge are being pushed further and further back, and that is bound to be the case, then God is being pushed back with them and is therefore continually in retreat."
Yes. Because it's almost like humanity has a human view of the universe. And because humanity has a human view of the universe, humanity tells stories. And all these stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end because we have a beginning and a middle and an end, right? So we like to pretend that everything in the universe has a beginning and a middle and an end, except energy, of course, which can be neither created nor destroyed. It merely transfers, right? So we have to pretend that that isn't a thing, or the transference just comes from God and God's always been there because God, why everything has to be created except for him, right? And every time we go, hey, evolution is actually this, it has, the DNA mutates and it makes changes when they replicate and recombinate and they have children. Then you have epigenetic pressures, you have evolutionary psychology pressures. There's all these different things that change the beings over time. And we can show that this goes back literally billions, well, no, not billions. It's almost 2 billion years. Or what life has been on Earth for like 3 billion years, 4 billion years, I suppose, seeing this old life. And then 1 point whatever for more complex life. And your Bible says it's 6,000 years old because somebody did, the adding up. And we can prove that there was other civilizations before Adam and Eve were supposed to have existed. And we can prove all this shit, and we can prove how you stole all your shit from everything. But because the singular person you're talking to doesn't have every single shard of information, it means that we don't know fuck all, right? Because cunts like this need every single factoid to be 1,000,000,000% true, and not only 1,000,000,000% true to be known. So not only do we have to know that my mother was Amber, and her mother was Sue, and her mother was someone else, and her mother was someone else, and her mother was someone else, and you have to know that to the nth degree, so you know that it doesn't go back to Adam and Eve, right? And then you have to know that actually it goes back further, and you have to have all these intermediary fossils, right? To prove that actually, yes, we really did, separate from chimpanzees and bonobos in a common species. That, separated from other apes, that then separated from monkeys, which separated from other mammals, which separated from smaller rodent creatures, which separated from things that came out of the sea. Right? We have to have all these intermediary fossils for these people to even be on board with anything. We have to have every single piece of data from every strata of every archaeological dig that has every single book 100 billion% intact to say that actually these other things happened. These people will doubt on the existence of Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, and all these people. And like, I've heard people use Abraham Lincoln and fucking George Washington as an example, right? Because all they care about is creating doubt in the historical nature of how we find things and the historical and like the archaeological / historical finding out process. Because scientific-minded people and people like and scholarly type people that aren't just trying to prove their own fucking points, right, actually say things like, well, according to the best available knowledge. It's like that JCO guy I had on last week. It's like the best available knowledge. It's always the best available knowledge, isn't it? That's what we say. So these fuckers have started trying to like copy that to act like they're being science-minded, you see, because we're the ones that keep on finding out shit because we have a certain way of thinking about these things and we have a certain way of finding them out. Now, these fuckers want to try and replicate that and pretend that they're doing it because, well, maybe we're wrong. Like, the fact that religious numbers are dropping because we keep on finding out new shit. Because it's almost like when we found out about physics and what we could actually do with physics and the implications of what physics actually was and the things that it could do and what atoms were and their implications and electrons and its implications, electricity and such, that the world changed in such a dramatic way in like 100 years. We went from being like in the same kind of existence from generation to generation for like 100, 300, 400, 500 years to like every decade is very different, and people see this technological change and the advancements we do and how quick these things keep on getting. What is it, Moore's law? Yeah, Moore's law. And it's like, hey, all this tech's going to get twice as fast, twice as small because the transistors are getting better and stuff like that, right? And people can see this. There's people like me that are alive now, right, that remember like the late 80s, right, and remember people with these giant fucking cell phones out here not really being able to have a computer, there being no internet, all this, the Dewey Decimal System, all this stupid shit, right? Like where you'd have to, and everything. And now, I'm only I'm 38 next month, right? So like, in that time, we've gone from having having shitty TVs to 4 to 8K TVs that can see all this fucking shit, and we have all this technological advancement. We can print organs. We're starting to be able to print meat for wholesale, so we don't have to fucking kill animals anymore. We're on the cusp of things like fucking fission, right? You know what I mean? So we can see how this process, with our own eyes, is like working for us and doing better. So it has to push the bounds of God back because God sets down very specific bounds and he's absolute. And if he's absolute and he set down these bounds and we've broken them, well then, it's almost like we should look at the Tower of Babel and we should look at every skyscraper in New York City, Beijing, Tokyo, or whatever big city you want to fucking name and go, what is this compared to that mud brick piece of shit?
Where were you when they built the ladder to heaven? Did it make you feel like crying, or did you think it was kind of gay?
But no, we don't understand the exact formative moments of the universe as we know it, so God must exist. We don't know exactly how life came about, exactly at the exact time, place, and the exact formation, like the exact process. So God must have done it. No, us Christians don't like to use it. Well, stop saying you don't know how life came to be and you don't know how the universe started. And then maybe, and every time somebody goes, I don't know the answer to that question about quantum mechanics or chemistry or biology or biochemistry or something like that, stop saying then it's God. If you think that maybe we should stop using the God of the gaps and Christians don't like doing it anyway, then maybe you should stop using those fallacious arguments. But the whole point of this video is to virtue signal like you've actually done some real, serious, hard thinking about it, isn't it? And you've decided that actually, you know what? No, it is a really bad thing to do, even though people do it all the time. But it's okay when we do it, right? We shouldn't do it, but hey, actually it's your problem. I need to let him get through things.
On the one hand, I agree that arguments for God should start not from what we don't know, but from what we do know. They should start with effects we observe and then reason to a cause for those effects, and then show that that cause must have divine attributes.
Yeah, science does that. It's called the scientific process. We make a hypothesis, we try to disprove that hypothesis, and then if we can't disprove that hypothesis, it makes it more likely to be true. And then we can replicate that study to see if we get the same results. And also we then publish the studies to see if other people make those results. But in that study, we'll make a set of we will also list out a set of variations and fucking, I don't know, predictions that could come from that. And then if those predictions are made true, and if it can't be, and if the hypothesis can't be proved false with variations, then it also makes it more likely to be true. So let's stop pretending that you guys aren't just trying to nick from us because our process is so fucking, amazingly efficient at finding out things comparatively to, well, God will just make it happen, right? So if we just start with an observed effect and then we work backwards to, well, I want God to exist. It's not the same process, you see, as, well, we've observed an effect. How does this work? I don't know. You see? It's almost like you're trying to prove your own points. And then if we say we don't know, because I've read a bunch of books and I've read a lot in biology, I've read a lot in physics, not that much in chemistry. I hate chemistry. But and I've done a lot of theological reading and I've done a lot of scholarly reading on archaeology of Assyria and Mesopotamia and Egypt and all these different places, right? But it doesn't mean that I know all the fucking answers. So pretending that just because I don't know one answer, because, well, you've had your answer from the start, I just don't get how that is the God of the Gaps thing.
We shouldn't just act like Bill O'Reilly in this clip in a conversation he had with atheist David Silverman.
I'll tell you why it's not a scam, in my opinion. All right? Tide goes in, tide goes out. Never a miscommunication.
Oh, my God.
You can't explain that.
Right.
You can explain why the tide goes in.
Tide goes in, tide goes out.
See, the water, the tide comes in and it goes out, Mr. Silverman.
Maybe
it always
it's
comes
Thor
in,
on top of
no,
Mount Olympus who's making the tides go in and out.
No, but you can't explain
a scam
that.
and a myth of the same. You
can't
myth
explain
and religion.
When you're at the moon, you pretty much split people down the middle. Some people go, oh, look at the moon. He's all gentle with his nice white face, hanging in the sky. He's nice. And the other half goes,
tide goes in, tide goes out. Never a miscommunication. You can't explain that.
On the other hand, I worry that atheists who lean too much into the God of the Gaps objection, they'll end up making atheism as unfalsifiable as some religions.
Idiot. Trent. Idiot. You. Trent. Idiot. Atheists are going to make atheism unfalsifiable. Hey, do you not think that saying that your God is undetectable in any way actually makes atheism unfalsifiable, you fucking moron? Or is it just me? It's weird that when atheism says, right, because theism just says God is real, right? It doesn't say which God, it just says God is real, right? And atheism says there is no gods, right? So you, Catholic dickhead, you support a religion that lived on the Crimen Solicitates document for how many years again? But hey, no, but you're not supposed to bring that up, right, Mr. Holdsworth? I will do that video eventually. It's just very depressing, okay? So, what was I saying? So, when you say that your God is undetectable and you can't detect it, the only way to falsify atheism is to prove you're God, idiot. So, when you say that your God is undetectable unless you've asked a bunch of fucking leading questions, is making atheism unfalsifiable, idiot. Because if you're saying you can't prove your side, it means you can't disprove mine either. But Christians are just dumb enough to think that it's only for them, right? That's why they like to go, oh, you need to have evidence. I know we have loads. And you guys don't accept any of it, because it all makes you feel so super warm and fuzzy and special on the inside, and you've sunk so much fucking time into it. And so many family and friends also believe it that you can't get rid of it. So it doesn't matter, right? When you go join Inspiring Sophistry, as he goes and cries because he got something wrong. Like, honestly, come on. You guys make atheism unfalsifiable. That's the funny thing.
Or they won't be able to answer this question. What would prove God exists?
On that cliffhanger, I'm just going to end it though, because I have to end it somewhere, and I can't be bothered doing it anymore. I know I've filmed it all, and I have to chop it up into bits, so just chopping it here, you just have to deal. So, I guess I'll see you Sunday. The last stream of the year, except for my birthday stream. And it'll be on Discord, so join that. Goodbye, everybody!